Howdy Fluffbutts, it's me, Faolan Walpole and Cortez Colt. Welcome back to Yay or Nay. Did we succeed with our 10 likes goal on the last video?
What?
Well, I guess I'll get this all out of the way before starting. If you want to see a review on the next episode Griffin the Brushoff made, like this video now. Let's try and get 5 likes this time. Don't let me down, guys, please. Okay, now that those troubles are sorted, let's begin this review. 3 episodes ago, we were introduced to the exuberant Earth Pony character, Applejack, who would go on to be known as the pony who represents the element of honesty. So far, each and every member of the group, the main 6, have been featured all together in the previous 3 episodes. Now, we have arrived at the first solo character-focused episode, Applebuck's season, which mainly features Applejack in the spotlight as the other 5 mares take a step back to allow one of their friends more development. The Ticketmaster, which was composed by 2 writers, Applebuck's season was only written by 1 writer, Amy Keating-Rogers. This was the first time the show developer hasn't had an involvement in writing an episode, so Keating-Rogers was given a big challenge to write a story on her own. Along with the many other writers that were yet to come later on, this episode had to prove one thing: that the writing team associated with the growth of the show knew what they were doing to keep the audience engaged. So far, the Yay or Nay rankings have been decent. There's 1 golden yay, 1 yay, and 1 average. Does this mean we will see the very first nay in the series? Well, grab your basket full of apples, and let's buck Applebuck's season down for analysis. Just like the Ticketmaster from before, this episode is known to be quite divisive amongst fans. As Applejack becomes more and more exhausted, her zapping in and out of sleep behavior can get considerably irritating. But I have to digress on one particular argument. It's also the main 6's fault for constantly requiring specifically Applejack's help. This episode hooks the audience on 2 provocative ways if you really think about it. On one hoof, Applejack's compelling stubbornness for pivoting her attention on her duties continuously without any pro-offered assistance upsets the whole town greatly, disappointing her friends, the viewers, and even herself in the epilogue. On the other hoof, Applejack's friends ignorantly refusing to acknowledge that she isn't wide awake to help them out with their tasks renders them being complete idiots, making their disputes against Applejack seem so unwanted and frankly stupid. I personally believe that this episode does a dang good job at projecting this notion that both sides are to blame, and not just one, so that the main 6's friendships are still intact. They cannot let these consuming engagements control them to the point of burning out. Look no further than the ending itself. The opening of Applebuck's season is actually quite nice. An establishing shot of the entire apple orchard displays early on how massive the plains of the apple family are. It's designed simply but effectively, because it's shown seconds before Applejack exclaims that she is going to be the one to harvest them all.
I haven't met an apple orchard yet that I can't handle.
Looks like some pony had an accident in Syrup Street. Despite Big Mac's concerns for his younger sister, their back and forth conversation is just excellent sibling banter.
Are you saying my mouth is making promises my legs can't keep?
Yep.
Applejack's determination for the job, combined with Big Mac's worrisome remarks for the immensity of the labor at hoof, makes this scene golden. Knowing how timorous Big Mac progressively becomes in the future of the show, his first proper introduction was fantastic.
But still only 1 pony. And 1 pony plus hundreds of apple trees just doesn't add up.
Ah, man. I truly miss him confidently talking.
The loyalist of friends and the most dependable of ponies?
But I thought you were the most honest, AJ. Well, given how Rainbow's acted these past 3 episodes, why don't you take it from her instead? Right when the intro cuts us off, the descending music alongside a zoom out to show a miniature Applejack with the huge size of the hundreds of trees underneath her was interesting. Her undaunted expression quickly becoming one of alarm showed us some insight to how this episode's plotline was going to play out. Oh, and the consequences of it too. Down the apple core we go! The story kicks off with a peaceful Ponyville until a sudden stampede of cows comes rushing towards the town, sending every pony into a panic.
Hey!
Glad to hear your comedy's back on point, Pinky. This cold opening was awesome to catch the audience's attention early on, with the risk of Ponyville being demolished by a herd of cows. Even the music was very suitable, focusing on giving Applejack a heroic aura while the mindless animals had a different dangerous vibe. Although, how did the cows shake the ground so darn much upon realizing how far away they were from Ponyville? Mayor Mayor's suggestion may sound like the best option.
Every pony calm down. There is no need to panic.
I need somebody.
Applejack gets the spotlight of a lifetime as she shows her resilience on full display of Ponyville when she completely dispatches the issue of the oncoming stampede. Her unflinching characterization that was established in the first two-parter is shown in detail, since she was the only one that dealt with the problem, further making her one of trustworthiness. Plus, who doesn't love a good rodeo?
Gotcha.
I thought it was lovely to see Winona'S first appearance as well being Applejack's pet. The small cameo of Winona in the episode provides us with a sense of curiosity that the other girls might have pets of their own too. While I'm on the subject of new roles being introduced, I have to truly give Applebuck's season credit for accomplishing what the Ticketmaster didn't. I honestly believe you could just skip the third episode due to its fillery nature and unmotivated desire of establishing more about the world and cut straight to this one instead. After Applejack disposes of the issue with the Cow Stampede, it was slightly weird to hear the cows having the ability to speak.
Oh my! Begging your pardon, Applejack.
What?
They might have been out of their minds during the charge, but surely, maybe one or two of them should have warned Applejack that they couldn't stop. She even shoved one of them and they realized she was there for Celestia's sake.
But Muriella here saw one of those nasty snakes.
Oh!
Spooky.
Along with a pretty cool silhouette of Applejack and Winona, the town decides to try and show their gratitude towards Applejack.
I know.
Oh, let me guess, Pinky. Is it a... Of course. When every pony is setting up for the ceremony, they promptly realize that Applejack hasn't been present for over a week.
Actually, I haven't seen her all week. Not since the stampede. What in tarnation?
This time jump bombshell was somewhat confusing, and it genuinely put me off. We literally saw the stampede in the last scene, and this wipe transition didn't help at all to indicate that at least a week had actually passed. Couldn't they have gotten a bit more creative with the way this lapse of time was conveyed? A timestamp of 1 week later, or maybe a wacky day and moon cycle that could have taken a mere few seconds. Just as Twilight was about to begin her speech on Applejack, the Vietnam experiences of the Ticketmaster come back to bite her rump, as Fluttershy, Pinky and Rainbow interrupt her with prospects of AJ helping them later on.
This week, she's gonna help me with my new flying trick. Applejack, one of the best bakers ever, is gonna help me. Applejack is also helping me this week with the official bunny census.
Stop!
This scene was flooded with long exposition coming from Twilight's friends and more indeterminable points in time for when Applejack comes to collaborate. The sequence of events that occur in this episode are scattered as heck, and it truly spoils the fun. Applejack then comes along displaying clear amounts of visible fatigue that no pony was concerned about.
Awkward.
Not one character visited Applejack during that period of time? Didn't any pony know she was kind of busy with her duties?
It's my duty.
I did love the distorted Western music while she admired herself in the reflection though.
I sure do look funny.
But afterwards, the scene when Applejack left the event was dragged out. Literally.
Thanks.
We already got the hint that she's tired, so this scene wasn't really necessary. Okay, let's just flip this around over the first and replay. I do adore recycled shots.
Sarcasm!
We finally gained a viewing of what Applejack has been doing all week with her struggle of bucking apples. This was particularly witty to watch, since Applejack was established as the workaholic type of character, and now, seeing her exhaustion starting to seep through helps the audience develop a bit of sympathy for the Earth Pony.
get...
Twilight, have you heard of walking? No wonder Applejack doesn't want to see you apparating everywhere. While Twilight observes AJ's activities, it was intriguing to hear what the Apple family traditions are all about. The imagination expands on how big Equestria could be, and without any music playing above the realistic ambiance, certainly helps keeps Applejack's lonely vicinity healthy.
I'm Mr. Lonely.
Rainbow enlisted Applejack's help so she could practice aerial maneuvers for the Wonderbolts, who don't even get properly introduced until season 3. Although, this whole scene of Applejack failing to succeed in Rainbow's demands and seeing her gradually getting pissed off was so hilarious.
3!
It's funny because it has purpose, since it plays off of Applejack's tired state, given how excited Rainbow was to work with her at the beginning. Even the aftermath of the crash on Twilight's balcony was comedic too, instantly knowing who's to blame with that emotionless expression plastered on.
Applejack. Yep.
The persistent awkwardness of this episode rears its head once again, with Applejack and Twilight's argument.
20 stocks? Bean or celery? No, I need to talk to you. You need to walk to the zoo? I need to talk to you.
It's even worse how they're just shouting it out.
What you want to talk about?
Rainbow Dash dropped in to see me today. That's quite neighborly of her. Yes, except that she crashed onto my balcony after you launched her into the air.
Like, I was paying more attention to my volume bar than the scene itself. This could have been a funny follow-up to what happened previously if the audio on Applejack's end was muffled when Twilight was talking, especially how her hearing was temporarily battered. Despite this episode being mainly focused on AJ, Twilight still manages to show that her behavior is always making progress into a more outgoing character.
Because you're working too hard and you need help. What? Help? I don't need help. I don't even like seaweed. Help! You need help!
Help me! Help me!
We then get introduced to the lovable couple, which are the Cakes, who run Sugar Cube Corner for the first time. Shame that their appearance is short-lived, because Pinky is ready to stupidly allow an obviously sleepy Applejack to ruin an entire afternoon. Unlike the amusing scene with Apple Dash, Apple Pie... Get it? Proved to be not quite the ship that compatible, as AJ struggles to accurately bake muffins.
What was that?
A cup of flour.
A cup of sour?
Wheat germ.
Wheat worms?
Pinky, I know you are a pony of very little brain, but come on! You mustn't have allowed Applejack to mix in savory ingredients into a sweet recipe! I don't blame Applejack at all for repeatedly mistaking her instructions. Do you know how hard it is to concentrate when you're on the brink of passing out? The clock wipe transition actually felt more efficient for a passage of time, because I cracked up straight away when it cut to an array of sickened ponies lying on hospital beds. Seeing all of the brand new characters that would end up frequently popping up in future episodes was enjoyable.
Big bads!
He needs some milk.
We again have another repetitious scene with Twilight and Applejack arguing on who's right and who's wrong.
The answer is still no. You need help. And no, I don't. Here, let me help. Help? No, thanks.
It was chuckle-worthy to see AJ helplessly flailing her legs in the air, but then she got real tiresome when she back-hoofed Twilight's assistance like a rotten little kid.
But if you just let me help... Ugh. No, no, no! How many times do I gotta say it? I don't need no help from no pony!
Oh, wow, AJ. Just like those bags underneath your eyes, your amount of appreciation is hanging low. The next scene of Applejack being assigned the task of bringing together Fluttershy's newborn bunnies once again felt a bit mixed from me. While Applejack was being insensitive towards the animals when she rightfully heard Fluttershy's standards, tell me something. Why would she trust AJ with a job like this when she still isn't in the correct condition? Have you seen the muffin pandemic recently in Ponyville, Fluttershy? The energetic music building up during the bunny chase until it explodes into that familiar music heard at the start with the first stampede was brilliant. The bunny stampede segment was definitely the best payoff that this episode could offer, as it was a big contrast to the beginning. Applejack helped the cows from the snake that frightened them, and now she is the one sending the animals into a frenzy. It's a lively way of coming full circle. With the not-so-subtle reference to Mufasa's death in The Lion King, the orchestral music that played was immensely pleasing for my own musical tastes.
I told you bunnies would take over the world, and they have!
It was good to see Twilight finally snapping and having enough of Applejack's stubborn pride.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking
Apples,
on this motherfucking
orchard.
She pays one last visit to AJ, who appears to have finished the bucking of the apple orchard just before Big Mac proves to be such a beautiful sass.
Oh, how do you like them apples?
Oh my god, Big Mac, talk about point blank. Applejack then gives in and collapses from shock. When she regains consciousness, Twilight tells her that although she respects the Apple family ways, Applejack has to give her obstinate nature a break.
You're always there to help any pony in need, so maybe you can put a little of your stubborn pride aside and allow your friends to help you.
Which she breathlessly does.
Okay, Twilight.
Yes, please. I could really use your help.
It gave me a huge breath of relief that Applejack managed to open up to her friends without being intoxicated with work. This episode may have been a conundrum of mixed emotions, but it displayed its friendship lesson up front, even if it was a bit forced.
Do you want some help?
You need help! Help! You need help!
You need help. Let me help. But if you just let me help,
You need help!
While you may have one view on something you're devoted on maintaining, if you accept what your friends have to say on it, whether it would be positive or negative, it could help you greatly. It pays off to be unprejudiced and tolerant of others, because if you don't, you may end up putting yourself and perhaps those people as well into a bad spotlight. Just seeing her magic plucking off every single apple within a 1-mile radius made me groan so hard. Oh. So, repeat this after me, Fluffbutts. Was it a yay or a nay? This story is a tricky one. Applebuck's season feels like an episode that is filled to the brim with mediocre writing, along with an entertaining concept at the start before it is diminished by the end. However, this episode felt more gripping from my point of view for all of the comedy included and the way it always had me thinking on both sides of the story. Does it deserve a nay or an average? You know what? I'll let this episode off the hook. The 4th episode is getting an average. Applebuck's season is an episode that doesn't let you look away because you're too focused on both its many strengths and drawbacks. The comedy was always on point whenever it was most appropriate. The choices of music were superb, and Applejack and Twilight's acting stole the show. Not to forget the appearances of the Cakes, Nurse Redheart, and Big Mac that paid off nicely. With the many new fulfilling elements that this episode brought to the table, almost none of them brought out their full potential. That time jump was extremely unnecessary and only caused more confusion as you tried to grasp onto the logic that Rainbow, Pinky, and Fluttershy had for trusting AJ with their complex jobs. Not to mention the many awkward moments that are shoved into the runtime. But needless to say, I would rather watch this episode over the 3rd any day. We can only hope that Griffin the Brush-Off will provide us with something better to chew on.
Junior speedsters are our lives, skybound swords and daring dives. Junior speedsters, it's our quest to someday be the very best.
Oh no. Don't forget to get this video to 5 likes for it to be considered. I award Applebuck's season an average and a 5 out of 10. Well, that does just about it for my review on the 4th episode, Fluffbots. I hope you enjoyed watching, and remember to subscribe to my channel for more exciting content. Comment your thoughts down below about Applebuck season and if you agree with me or not. And I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye!